Hey, thanks for joining us as we are live again for our weekly vidcast, the YLN vidcast. I'm RJ McKay. We've got Mike Stringer behind the cameras, making sure we look and sound good. This week, we are featuring the Philly metal band 10th Amendment, and we're going to be talking to them in just a few minutes, but just want to remind you that we have streaming 24/7. We've got free apps you can download. Just go to the respective stores, type in YLN, and download it for free, and take yourlocalnote.com with you anywhere you go. Don't forget our concert calendar, where you can check out where your favorite bands are playing. Bands like 10th Amendment, you can check out where you can see them next. So we're going to get to them in just a few minutes. Right now, let's start everything off with Self-Aware. This is from their album Self-Evident, which was out, released late 2010, early 2011. This is 10th Amendment on yourlocalnote.com. The song is called Self-Aware from the album Self-Evident. This is 10th Amendment on yourlocalnote.com. Guys, welcome. Appreciate you coming out.
Hey, thanks for having us.
All right, let's start off real quickly. Introduce yourself and what you do with the band.
Adam, I'm the drummer.
I'm Corey. I'm the vocalist.
My name's Logan. I'm lead guitar.
And are we missing anybody?
Yeah, Joe. He's one of the other guitarists.
Okay, very cool. All right, guys. How did you guys pick out the name 10th Amendment for the band?
Well, I forget exactly how I came across the name, but when I did, I kind of figured it was good as far as the message of the band. Some of the songs were already written before we had the band name, and it seemed to kind of fit. So we decided to just go with it as the band name. It seemed like it worked. It carried a good message to it.
Do you feel your songs are political in nature?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think especially with a lot of what's going on today, people have forgotten how important that they are in the process.
Right.
And how much power that they have.
Right.
So when we started tossing around ideas for the band name and concepts for exactly what we want to do, we always thought that was something that we kept coming back to over and over and over again to just remind people that they have power and they can make a difference. They don't have to do what they're told to do.
Okay. Question authority.
Right.
Always like that. How did you guys get together? You started, and then who came next?
Correct. I found Corey on Craigslist. He came over one day. I never met him or anything like that.
Really?
Just replied to a post, sent over a song, a demo of him singing, and we started recording the tracks pretty much that same day that he came over.
Okay.
Once the first album was finalized, we started actively seeking out other members.
So you two basically recorded the first album. Would that be self-evident?
Yep.
Okay, so you two recorded it, and who else played on the band? Were these just friends of yours who also played on the album?
Nope. Corey and I did everything as far as
everything.
instruments
Okay.
for the first album.
Okay.
Which is when the new album songs are played later, you guys will notice a difference because we got Logan and Joe putting in a lot of more creative input as far as the guitar parts and things like that.
Okay.
I predominantly play drums, and that's what I do in this band. So the first album had a lot of drum stuff and vocals. This second album, I think, is more balanced.
More guitar-centric?
Yeah, like there's a lot more going on with all the instruments.
Okay.
And everything complements itself a little bit better. So.
Okay, and then Logan and Joe came in later before this last album?
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, so we met Joe and Logan after we finished the first album. We started looking for people. They joined, and then we started doing, touring heavily around the tri-state area, and we figured it was a good time to, now that we have a solid lineup, to start putting out some new material where we all have, creative input on it.
Okay, let's go back to the first song we played, Self-Aware. You wrote this, and what is the song about? Give us a little, a little background on the song.
Well, it's sci-fi in nature, but essentially it's a cautionary tale where the people that the song references decide to go forward in pursuing whatever it is that they want to do without thinking about the consequences. So you'll notice lyrically as it goes on in the song, we start talking about new wave of persistence brings me to existence, where they pretty much continue to proceed with whatever it is, whether it's different types of weapons and things like that.
Right.
Destructive stuff, but not thinking about the consequences of their actions.
Right.
So,
the day after.
Yes.
Right. Okay. Now, you write all the songs and the lyrics and the music?
For the first album, it was primarily done before Corey joined. He had some creative input in how things were going to be sung, what can we do differently.
Okay.
This new album is entirely different as far as how the process goes.
Okay.
Everyone's contributing for all instruments, pretty much.
Okay. It's a little, we've been doing this now for a little more than 3 years, and I would have to say, you're the first drummer who has been that into the songwriting process.
Oh.
For the most part, the drummers are, they have a different, part in the band. Some drummers are really into the taking care of the social media and promotion part. But I would have to say you're the first drummer that I can remember offhand. And Mike is giving me a nod of approval. Okay, not shaking his head, going, "Oh, where's this guy going now?" Where you're the primary songwriter. So how did you get into the songwriting process as a drummer? Is it just something you always did?
I think it came out of necessity because I was jamming in a couple other bands before, and I wanted to do something different and was having a hard time finding people that wanted to go in the same direction.
Okay.
So I think I decided to just get a guitar, and because I knew a lot of musician friends, so I could pick their brain about different techniques and stuff like that, and just started writing and going in that direction pretty much by myself. And one of the things that was beneficial was once we had a finished product that people could see and hear and decide whether they wanted to be a part of it, it was a lot easier for the guys to probably say like, yeah, I want to be a part of this next time around, next album. I see where this is going. And
Okay.
I like it.
Okay. Corey, you're the first one who joined Adam. You heard his music first, and
I
then
did.
and you were like, this is where I want to go.
Actually, from what I heard on Craigslist, I was a little kind of like up in the air about it. Mm-hmm. Once I got down to Philly and listened to the stuff he had re-recorded, he also does all our production. So once it was remastered, it was just high quality, like really nice sounding material that I knew I wanted to be a part of.
Okay.
Granted, I definitely was pushing for the expansion, different directions for guitars,
Right.
bass.
Right.
It was interesting though to just walk in and have the product laid out for me and just, here's your lines, change what you'd like, but this is the gist. So
How tough of an adjustment for both of you on the first album? You don't know each other. You just meet, and now you're trying to record an album because that's the songs are your baby. You wrote them. You've got to be careful, I think, not to step on toes. You don't want to offend
Perhaps
your
a little
bandmate
bit.
right away. You want to stay in the band.
Yeah.
How difficult was it for you to work together and form the first album?
I think it was actually a lot easier than most people would assume. We just kind of knew what we both wanted to go for out of the music, and we shared a similar idea. Mm-hmm. So generally, if one of us said, that doesn't sound so good, both of us were thinking it. Mm-hmm. So it was a really smooth transition and a nice process, and I think it took all of maybe 2 half-day visits before we had 1 or 2 songs like pressed and done.
Oh, okay.
So
You produced the albums yourself?
I did. Mhm.
Okay. And you produced Self-Evident, and then the Conviction, the new album, which will be released soon. You did all of that too?
Yep.
Is that self-taught, or is that something you went to school for?
A lot of YouTube videos mostly.
Okay.
And trial and error. Yeah. Because there's a lot of times where I'm sitting there and I'm like, it doesn't sound quite right. How do I fix that? Or what do we can do here? Blah, blah, blah. But no formal education as far as like mastering, audio editing, and things like that.
So it's all by ear. Mm-hmm. And Corey, were you helping out during the first album, or
I
you were
had
just
recommendations.
Okay.
I didn't really have the technical knowledge for whatever wizardry he was doing behind the computer, so I just kind of went with, here's my idea, let's make it happen if you can, within reason.
Okay. And you would take his idea and say, okay, let me see how I can implement this.
Yeah, usually.
Okay.
Usually.
All right, very cool.
Other time, just tell him to shut up and go back to your coloring books.
We're gonna go to the second song. When we come back, we'll talk about it,
right.
and then we'll talk about what the differences between the first and second album, and when Logan came in and some of the contributions you've made. So we'll do that coming up after the song "Infection," which is also from the album "Self-Evident." You're hanging out with yourlocalnote.com. We are doing another vidcast live, so appreciate you joining us, and we're talking with 10th Amendment, and the song here is Infection on yourlocalnote.com.
Only to infect this road brave
The song is called Infection from the album Self-Evident, and this band we're talking with is 10th Amendment. All right, Corey, Adam.
No, Corey can answer this one.
Okay. All right. What is this song about?
This is like pestilence, plague. This is becoming so trusting in what is mass manufactured and just fed to you that it's what will inspire your demise. What's going to bring you.
So your own worst enemy.
Whether it's there's some folks out there that believe vaccines will kill you or lead to disease, what have you. Some believe wholeheartedly that they help. Some don't. Either way, the chaos ensues. So.
That's an interesting topic because people are very adamant about that on both sides, and it's very interesting, even within the health industry itself. So that's interesting. You guys are talking about that. Let's talk about the songwriting process and what influences you and what gets you started with a song. These are life experiences, because are they just, and then you expand it into a story, or how does that work? I mean, sometimes we've got songwriters who are storytellers. Some songwriters are like, if I don't experience it, I can't write about it. How does that work for you?
Most of the songs, we got the ideas either through themes or stories that we've heard. I don't necessarily know if a lot of these are personal experiences. Some of them are, but it's either things you see in the news, things that we witness personally that kind of we feel need to be magnified or put a spotlight on it so this way people can be aware of it. Some of it are good things, some of it are not so good.
Right.
Like the one song on the album Blood of the Patriots is an homage to those who have given their lives for the freedoms that we have. Sometimes things like that deserve more acknowledgement than they're getting. Okay. So something that we like to do as artists is put a spotlight on those different things that we feel are important and hopefully, give it a little bit of recognition.
So you guys watch a lot of the news then? Yeah,
news, movies, TV, things like that.
Okay, and that's where you're getting your influences. Okay, very, very cool. Now let's talk about the first album compared to the second album. Now, you produced both albums.
Correct.
And so obviously you feel better about the second album because you know more as far as the recording process is concerned. But then you had more people involved. How difficult was that? Because the first album, it's just you and Corey, and you're just doing your thing. Now you get two more people. And how well do you know Joe and Logan?
I think at this point we've probably all known each other for about probably 2 or 3 years. So we're all pretty close at this point.
There was a comfort level there.
Yeah.
Okay. So everyone's contributing to the formation of the album, which is going to be released when? Conviction?
Hopefully we're shooting for July, August, I would say.
Okay. All right. So is it finished as far as recording is concerned, and mixing is the only thing, or mastering is the only thing that's left?
No, I think we have probably about 5 more songs or so that we're still ironing out and getting some stuff down for it.
Okay.
But yeah, generally we haven't been following the process where we record all the songs and then mix all the songs and then master all the songs. We'll usually do the song from start to finish.
Okay.
And then take the next song from start to finish.
Is that a process you are more comfortable with?
I think we as a band, just because of our scheduling and things like that, and the way technology is now, we can easily pass the files around and critique and get feedback of, I think this is too high, this is too brash, lower this, EQ this different.
Turn Corey's vocals down.
Yeah, turn the vocals down as much as we can. Mute it if you can. It kind of changed the process as well, where we don't necessarily all sit and record and then go back and then mix and master. We kind of take it and then use what we learned and how we mixed and mastered that one song into the next one as well.
Okay, and that is something that's how much of a difference in the recording process do you feel from album 1 to album 2?
I think it's definitely been different. Definitely. One thing is I had to take a step back because now it's not always I'm coming up with all the ideas.
Right.
I can just sit back and I'll get an idea from Logan or Joe or Corey that they'll say like, hey, I got this. I think this is going to be pretty cool.
Okay.
So I can take a step back and kind of let them do their thing, which is nice. It's a change. It's a refreshing change.
Okay.
But then also there's a lot of production things that are different now. Just trying to figure out what's the best way to get everybody's takes. Everyone likes to record a little bit different. Mm-hmm. So
you recorded the track separately, or did you record as a band?
No, everything was done separately. Yes.
Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Logan, coming into this band, as with everything set, how difficult was that of an adjustment for you? Because everything's there, and now you're just the guitar player.
Yeah, more or less. I mean, actually, when I originally tried out for 10th Amendment, when I actually responded to a Craigslist post that I had made, I was originally going for bassist.
Okay.
I showed up with my bass. I noodled around a little bit and decided that it wasn't quite my cup of tea bass-wise.
Okay.
Told him I would play guitar, so Joe hands me his guitar and says, all right, hey, go ahead and play this lick. I think it may have been Blood of the Patriots, so I just jammed on that a little bit and turned it around and said, all right, you're lead guitar now, so now I have the job of making the solos and everything, which is a brand new thing for me. So, I mean, even though everything was already written, more or less.
Still a challenge.
It was still the challenge of going back and listening to the solos, learning how to play them. I modified maybe the two that are on Self-Evident.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, it was actually fairly easy because everything was already there. I enjoyed the music, so it was just learning to play it and then taking it out live.
Okay. How long was it after the first album was done that you then went live? You started performing live as a band?
Actually, it took quite a bit of time because we had to find everybody that clicked. Before Logan and Joe, I'm sure Corey can also share some horror stories about people that came over and were like, oh man, what's going on here? So there was a lot of that going on. Just finding people that wanted to do what we were doing and were good. Is it
difficult because metal is a specific format, and you're looking for a specific person who wants to do this? It just can't be a person who can play guitar or play bass or anything like that. They've got to really understand what you guys are doing with your music.
Yeah, there's the rare exception for someone who, say, metal isn't the dominant genre that they're into,
right?
But for the most part, you're gonna want like a die-hard, almost stereotypical metalhead,
okay,
to come in and just kind of complete the role.
Okay, so it took a while before you found the people that you needed to complete the band.
Yeah, and then once the lineup was set, we still practiced probably for about 6 to 8 months or something like that before we took the show out. Mostly because we wanted to make sure that everything was ironed out, and then Joe and Logan did actually contribute a lot. Like when you'll hear us play live, you'll notice that the songs, they're the same songs, of course, but
right,
there's a whole new element to what's going on. Like there's a lot of new effects.
More dynamic.
Yeah.
Is there a lot of improvising when you're live with the songs, or is it just because you've got two new guitarists that their take is different on what was originally recorded?
Yeah, I think it's the latter, more where they added a lot of new stuff to it. Created a lot more, elements that were.
So you hammered that out. You hammered that out while you were practicing.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. So when you are live, I guess then the songs stay relatively close to what the recordings are.
From my perspective, yes. I try to match the recordings as much as possible because my timing, I launch a lot of the samples and effects that they're going to hear in the song too.
Okay.
So to make sure all that stuff is happening when it's supposed to happen, I try to keep myself as regimented as possible.
Okay.
But I think they have a little bit of leeway as far as what they can do, with what they're feeling.
Okay. So you have to play off of them then, or just be aware of they're going off a little bit differently than maybe the night before or the 2 nights before.
To some extent, yeah.
Okay. And Logan, is that something that you feel good about? It's something that comes naturally, or do you try to talk to the guys beforehand and say, I'm in the mood to do this tonight?
We normally try and hash any kind of different flair that we might try and throw out. We normally try and hash that out at a practice, make sure it sounds decent, and there's a couple different flair spots that you're just depending on the mood, depending on the crowd. I know I'm very heavily influenced by the crowd. If the crowd's having a good time, I might throw out a little bit more flair.
Okay.
So it's just all kind of on the mood, on the crowd, and just how we're all interacting on stage.
And Corey,
Yeah.
how do you take care of your voice? Because that's the first thing that jumps out. And being someone who's been on the air for 25 plus years, this is my career and this is my livelihood. And I take care of it as much as I possibly can. Not that I haven't abused the voice at times, but you put a tremendous amount of strain on your voice. How do you do that and keep it going?
Whiskey and cigarettes.
All jokes aside, it's actually a vocal technique. It's called a false chord vocal style.
Right.
And what it is you are using what are called your false chords, which is like another set of vocal chords to produce like a more textured sound. So once you learn to do that appropriately, it doesn't hurt. You don't run into the problem where you might injure yourself.
Right.
There are a lot of guys in the genre who go out and they scream their hearts out, and they get off the stage, and they spit up blood.
Yeah.
So
this is a technique you learned.
Yeah.
And how difficult is it to learn?
I kind of just fell into it. I would sing along with all the bands I listened to, specifically Lamb of God, and then it got to the point where one of my buddies was like, yo, you sound a lot like that guy. So that's when I started recording covers on YouTube and shopping them around on Craigslist.
Right. Oh, okay. So it's just something that you just fell into.
Yeah.
But it's something that takes a lot of work.
Definitely. It's not like I have to be conscious about what my limitations are, not just in general, but on any given night. Like if I have a shot and a couple of beers before a show, I know I'm not hitting those high notes.
Right.
Just flat out, I will injure my voice and I won't be able to complete the show with as much quality.
So lots of water.
Yeah, I probably drink 1.5 gallons of water on stage any given night. So.
Okay. So much for that, I guess, image of rock and roll and whiskey and
the beer
cigarettes.
And the whiskey are right next to it, but it just doesn't look right. I gotta write vodka on the side of it.
All right, let's go to song number 3, and it's off the album that's coming out. It's called Conviction, and you said it's going to be out maybe in July, somewhere around there.
We're hoping for July, August. Yeah.
Okay, so we're doing a debut here.
Yep.
Yeah.
You guys are going to be the first to hear it.
Very cool. All right, the song is called Liberty Weeps,
No.
and
First one's Impact.
the song is called Impact. And we're live, and this is great. Okay,
At least you know it's live.
Yes, the song is called Impact. It's off the album that will be out hopefully in July. Conviction. We're hanging with 10th Amendment, and when we come back, we'll talk about what this song is about, and then we'll talk about where people can get your music on yourlocalnote.com.
I crave to conquer, not son of man, but blood and steel. I am no longer your God can save you. Cold for past the point of hope for salvation. The sirens cry, heralds your reckoning now. You walk this path of isolation. I'll guide you to your end. Waiting, watching. Take hold, I'm coming your sacrifice. You're running out of time. I will
All right, you heard it here first. We want to thank 10th Amendment for allowing us to play this song Impact. You guys have not played this anywhere else, so we appreciate you having us be the first place that people can hear it. Impact from the album Conviction. We're hanging with the guys from 10th Amendment, Adam, Corey, and Logan. All right, Corey, we were talking while the song was playing. Tell us what the song is about.
All right, this is the first song I really had complete lyrical control over, and of course I decided to write a song about the unbridled wrath I felt for the people that I had to deal with in everyday society. Not necessarily any specific person, but the culmination of that guy that cut you off in traffic, or the guy who took the last cup of coffee, etc., etc. But it all builds up, and then you just want to watch the worlds burn.
Yeah, the person with the full shopping cart in the express lane, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. And, I think it was just one of those days I was rather impassioned, and I was...
You want to see everything that they care about burned.
Exactly. Okay. So it was pretty easy to put that into words.
Okay. Do you get into those moments a lot?
Yeah, I find in kind of a juxtaposition to how he would write his lyrics, I write almost entirely off of experience or like what I'm feeling or something along those lines, where I'm much more, all right, I'm feeling this now. I've got to write it now. If I write half of it, get up and come back later,
ain't gonna happen. So, because it's all emotion.
Yeah.
Okay. And Adam, can you start a song, come back to it, or do you have to do start to finish with a song?
Generally, I'm the exact opposite of Corey. Yeah, I'll sit down. I'll have a couple lines that I like, stew on it, come back, have a couple lines later. I take that calculated approach to it as opposed to where the emotions are.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So, Corey, then do you run into a place where you just stop because you can't go anywhere? You sort of run into like writer's block, and then you just throw away what you wrote?
I guess I've done that once or twice where I have the concept, I'm feeling it, I write it, and either by the time I'm done writing it, I've changed my mind, or I just take a look at it another day after I've finished it and just say, this isn't, what I want to put out for whatever reason. I might scrap it, but 99% of the time, if I can sit down and write it start to finish, that's what I'm going with.
Okay.
Sans a few minor adjustments.
Do you then bring it to Adam and say, hey, here's what I got. What are your thoughts, since he does a lot of songwriting himself? Or do you just say, this is what I want to do, and then the tweaking begins?
Usually it'll be like, oh yeah, I have lyrics for that song, and then I'll show up one day like, surprise! And then we'll record it as I have it imagined, and he'll correct everything in terms of time and everything and be like, all right, so, here's the rough cut. Now, here's where I have an idea, and here's where I have an idea, and here's where I have an idea, and I think this could be a little stronger.
Okay.
So
it's almost like a songwriting lesson in a way for
kinda,
you.
Yeah.
Because I take it... Because you're more technical, and you're just more emotion, you're just writing, and you still have, I guess, some things to learn on the technical end of songwriting.
Yeah. I tend to kind of migrate into the same, not necessarily the exact same, but the same similar patterns or the same feel.
Okay.
Where I'm not always so inclined to have like an abrupt change of vocal pattern part of the way through a song, where he's come at me and saying, yo, I've got this idea, I've got some words written, they don't have to be the ones that stay, but just try it.
Okay.
And we'll lay it down, and I'll like it, and that'll stick.
Logan, can you, if they both write a song and they don't tell you which is which, can you pick out the difference between the songwriting?
I think I'd probably be able to pick it out. Corey seems to have a little bit more of kind of an open flow, to whereas everything Adam did was just very tight and structured. And everything, words followed the riff.
And that probably bodes well for the band in the sense that you don't, as you said, fall into a pattern because you got two different styles of writing. Do you think you'll ever try to collaborate on a song, or do you think because the differences are too much that probably is not a good thing to do?
Well, I think this new album is a testament to that collaboration happening.
Okay.
You'll notice, especially in the next song, there are parts, Liberty Weeps, there are parts that have both that open, flowy feel, and then immediately after follow up with like a regimented part. And I think it creates a cool, a cooler melody or pattern than what I would normally come up with alone, or what Corey might come up with alone. So putting it together, kind of makes it a cool, interesting part, what it would otherwise not have been.
Okay, and you're still in the process of completing this album, so there are still things that you're working on with the different songs.
Correct.
Let's talk about where people can find your music.
We've got all sorts of social media. It's twitter.com/TA Metal Philly. There's facebook.com/10th Amendment Metal, and then 10thamendmentmetal.com.
And we're on Reverb Nation, iTunes.
We've got a Reverb Nation. The first album's on iTunes, available for download.
SoundCloud.
We might be. I'll have to
Bandcamp.
check. Yeah, I mean, we're on we're on Amazon.
It's amazing what you guys have to cover.
Yep.
To make sure you're everywhere. And
if there was one place to direct people, it would probably be the website 10thamendmentmetal.com. That's got the videos, got the songs, got any news that's going on, tour dates, all that stuff's on there.
Videos. We haven't even talked about the videos. Is that again a collaboration, or do you really try to play close to what the song is about with your videos, or just most of them just live performance videos?
Live performances for the
As of
most
right
part.
now.
Yeah,
it's all
We
live
do have
performance.
something on the horizon, I guess, for an upcoming song on the new album, where we might potentially look at some professional production for a music video.
Okay.
But that's still kind of in the very early stages.
Okay. Very cool. And then as far as you guys playing, where can people, upcoming shows, what do you got coming up?
Oh, unfortunately, nothing right now because
Okay.
we're full studio mode to
Okay.
finish up the album.
So once the album is done, start to look for you after July.
Yep. We're probably going to be, loading up on a lot of shows.
You'll
And-
send us the information so we can get it in our
Absolutely.
concert calendar. And
Sure.
Don't worry, everyone will get it.
Corey, is that your job to make sure everyone
No,
knows?
bud. I watch it happen.
Okay. All right, then let's talk about what people can expect from a 10th Amendment show. They haven't seen you guys. They've heard your music. They like it, but they want to go and see you. What can they expect from the show?
It's a relatively high energy performance out of, I guess, Logan and myself.
Okay.
The crowd is very active, very involved. We've had some really, really, really impressive mosh pits, like
Okay.
especially at the Trocadero. We headlined the main stage there, and we had a bunch of friends and family out there, but also some people that we just didn't know
And they're
walked in
just
off the street,
slamming into each other.
balls to the wall, trying to hurt each other. So it just made me proud.
Any crowd surfing, Corey?
There was a little bit there
think
for a
we had
while,
a few,
but
yeah.
Okay.
more inclined to see like the 360 spin kicks in the middle of the air. Like, watch your head, you might leave with a concussion.
So I can see, Logan, as you said earlier, how the crowd can really get you guys going. And the same with you, Corey?
Absolutely.
Okay. That's great. All right, guys. We really appreciate you hanging out with us tonight, giving us the opportunity to play some new music that hasn't been featured before. And that's what the next song also is. It's brand new. It's Liberty Weeps. So let's talk about that.
All right. This was the second song that I was given full creative license over.
Okay.
And I brought that to the table, and that was the first song where he went, all right, so here's what we're going to do with your ideas. Well, no, he was much more amicable than that. It was, what are you really attached to? What do you want to keep? I really feel like we could do something stronger here. Let's work together for the next couple hours and just figure out what fits.
How difficult is that to say? Because since you're a songwriter, you know how difficult it is to put a song together.
Yeah.
So Corey comes to you, and he's emotional about the songs.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, do you put him in another room, call him up on the phone, and say, "All right, Corey, here's"? No, I'm kidding. How do you approach?
He usually just looks at me like this.
and shakes his head.
Whatever
hardest
you're
part
doing
is-
there, just stop. Stop it right now.
Yeah, it's just you got to convince them that your ideas are actually their ideas so that they like them. And
Okay.
then they'll just do what you wanted them to do.
Okay, maybe you shouldn't have said that as he was sitting next to you.
Ignorance is bliss.
But obviously, you have a respect for each other, a healthy
yeah.
respect that when he makes suggestions, you know it's coming from an area where he wants to improve the song. He's not trying to bring you down.
I don't feel like it's ego driven. I don't feel like it's like, oh, I need to cut Corey's vocals back here so they can hear the drums. I don't think it's any of that. I think it's a lot of maybe this just isn't the right part or the right words or the right rhythm for the vocals for this song. It's not that it's good or bad. It's just that there's something off there, and sometimes we will just sit there and analyze a part and not remove it, but just see what is there irking us about it.
Okay.
Before we come to any conclusion about what's to be done, or, at that point he might make like a couple of recommendations or say, why don't you try this pattern? And it's a pretty simple process. We're both pretty laid back.
Can that get into the paralysis by overanalysis sometimes with a song? And who then says, you know what, we got to stop this, or let's have a beer first and then come back?
Well, the beer always comes first.
Okay.
But for example, I guess it was last week, we spent, I'd say, a solid 2 hours on 13 syllables.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
Still didn't come to a conclusion. So
2 hours on 13 syllables.
Yeah.
That's got to be at times nerve-wracking.
Yeah,
Oh, it certainly is.
No matter what one of us would toss out, the other one would always go, I mean, it's all right, but
So
I don't know.
Do you have to have a unanimous decision on stuff? It's got to be all four of you saying this is what we want to do. Mm-hmm. It's not a democracy where it's 3 against 1 type of stuff.
I mean, sometimes I guess if someone's really being a stickler over something that has just so little relevance to the bigger picture, we'll just kind of be like,
Shut
all
up.
right, placebo effect, we turned you up.
Here's your crayons.
But
for the most part, you end up agreeing on what you need to do.
Yeah. We don't want anybody feeling like they don't like what we're putting out. We want everyone in the band to feel like they're proud of the product, and
so there's a lot of
really
selling to each other on why your idea is
we're
good.
all salesmen. The worst of the worst used car salesmen out there when it comes to like pitching new songs.
Didn't have to sell this solo though.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be lead guitarist if I didn't mention this was the first song that we actually did where I had the creative freedom to try my hand at my own lead from, hey, this is where the lead's going to go.
Right.
Go ahead and write it. So this is like the first one I came up with, and I was really, really excited and very proud of it.
Okay. Do you then stick with it for the most part because it's the first one, or do you sometimes fiddle around with it when you're playing?
No, it's pretty solid the way it is. I mean, I wrote it to where I was happy with it. I went over Adams, I recorded it, and him and Joe were both there and just jaws dropped and said, yep, all right, cool, it's staying.
Very good. Mm-hmm. All right, guys, thank you so much. Really appreciate you coming out and hanging out with us and sharing the 2 songs that are brand new. And Absolutely. We're going to wrap things up with the song Liberty Weeps off the album Conviction. Again, that will be in July. Why don't you guys give your web address again, your email, your website address is what I was trying to say.
10thamendmentmetal.com.
Okay,
and
excellent.
Real quick, if I can, I'd like to give a shout out to Jutta, Franz, Marcus, and Scarsign, and all the rest of our German fans. You guys just have this fanaticism for our music that we cannot get enough of. So.
Dankeschön, Deutschland. Wir lieben allen.
Excellent. Very good. So you got some following in Germany.
Actually, yeah. And it comes to just as much of a surprise as, it did for you. But.
So you're going to have to eventually go there.
Absolutely.
Looking forward to it. Let's go.
Okay, very cool. All right, guys, again, thank you so much. It's been great hanging with you.
Likewise, thanks for having us.
All right, again, we'll have a new vidcast next week on the site and also live, so check it out here at yourlocalnote.com. Of course, you want to see where your favorite bands are playing, go to our concert calendar, and we've got streaming live 24/7. Check that out, and Mike and I do a weekly update, the YLN update. You can check that out out when we have that up on the site. And let's see, what else am I forgetting? Yes, the newsletter that Mike puts out does a great job with that. Just send us an email at contact@yourlocalnote.com, and we'll get that out to you. All right, we're wrapping things up with the song Liberty Weeps from the album Conviction. The band is 10th Amendment on yourlocalnote.com.
So warped bastard I shallow, slave to force-fed lies. Now I can't find satisfaction in compromise. Trained to complacency, judgment is coming now. Liberty weeps, another dying breed. Liberty weeps, another dead democracy has sown, so it will reap. As none for whom she weeps. These tears are shed for us. The rain has sunk the dust. Liberty weeps. Our choice to be brought to our knees, lost in the sea. All sheep with no shepherd to lead. Liberty weeps, another dying breed. Liberty weeps, another dead democracy has sown, so it will reap. As none for whom she weeps. These tears are shed for us. The rain has sunk the dust.